Hi everybody. I hope everyone's having a wonderful Sunday. We're going to play some more records. And tonight we're going to play some scores from movies and some songs from movies. And I'm going to show you my collection. I don't have really a huge collection of movie soundtracks, but I have some fun stuff. I've got, of course, Singing in the Rain, and Giant, and Auntie Mame, and The Music Man, Chuchi Bang Bang, Airport, What a Way to Go, You Only Live Twice, kind of a random one, The Eddie Duchin Story, and then this is pretty funny. I actually have the soundtrack to Airport 75. I'm not going to play it for you, it's not that good. I have Charade, and then of course, I mean, there are a gazillion records of performers who would, do songs that were made famous by the movies, like Steve Edie, Carmen Caballero, and 101 Strings. But we're going to start with one of my favorites of all time, the very first one I showed you, which is Singing in the Rain. Now, this album was actually released in 1965. The movie's from 1952, but this album was released in 1965. The original 1952 soundtrack was released on a 10-inch long play record. This is a 10-inch record. The standard LP now is a 12-inch record. I'm going to show it to you. So it's this big. But originally, LPs came out in... Can you even tell? Yeah, you can tell. Just barely. It's about 2 inches smaller. Originally, LPs came out in the 10-inch format because people were used to it, because 78s came out in the 10-inch format. So the very first Singing in the Rain soundtrack came out on a 10-inch long playing record. Then in 1965, and that movie was not like, it was number 10 engrossing in 1952. It was a kind of a sleeper. It wasn't like MGM's like biggest production that year, but it became a huge hit over the years. And there's actually been 3 releases of the soundtrack. The first one in 1952, the second one, this one, in 1965, and the third one in 1984 or 85. And actually, I think that it may have been at its 30th anniversary, which would be 1982. And it came out on LP, and also came out in other formats about 4 years later. We're going to play Moses. The song Moses, the whole soundtrack is the music is really by Roger Edens. It's conducted by the MGM studio conductor, a guy named Lenny Hayton. And we're going to play the song Moses, which is written by Roger Edens, with the lyrics by Betty Comden and Ralph Green. And I actually got to meet Ralph Green once in New York, and that was a highlight for me. But here we go with Moses from Singing in the Rain, 1952.
Moses supposes his toes are roses, but Moses supposes erroneously.
But Moses, he noses, his toes aren't roses, as Moses supposes his toes to be. Moses supposes his toes are roses, but Moses supposes erroneously. A Moses, a Mose, a rose is a rose, a toes is a toes. Hoop-de-doodle-doodle. Moses supposes his toes are roses, but Moses supposes erroneously. For Moses, he noses, his toes aren't roses, as Moses supposes his toes to be. Moses, Moses are roses, Moses, in my Moses, as Moses supposes his toes to be. Roses, 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 but Moses supposes his toes couldn't be a lily or a happy dappy dilly. It's gotta be a rose, cause it rhymes with Moses. Moses!
I love that song. This is my favorite musical of all time, and it's many people's favorite musical, obviously. And that number, I mean, if you've watched the movie as many times as I have, you can almost picture what Gene Kelly and Donald O'Connor are doing during that song. The next up is from the movie Giants. We're actually going in chronological order. We're starting in 1952, and we're going to go forward all the way to 1970. The next up is Giant from 1956 by Dmitry Tiomkin. And he was actually Russian. He was classically trained in St. Petersburg. He moved to Berlin before the Bolshevik Revolution, and then he moved to Hollywood before the Nazis took over in Germany. He was kind of lucky that way. He wrote the most recognizable Western themes of the mid-century. He wrote the score for Red River, The Big Sky, Gunfight at the OK Corral. He received 22 Academy Award nominations and won 4 Oscars, including the score for The High and Mighty and the Best Original Song for the Ballad of the High Noon. He did not win anything for Giant, but Giant is, if you're a Texan, Giant is like, this is like the Bible. You got to watch Giant if you're from Texas. We're going to play the main title. Here we go. From 1956 by Dmitry Tiomkin. Main title to the movie Giant. That is a beautiful score. And that was going into the next song. It's a beautiful score. And if you've never seen the movie, I highly recommend it. And if you don't have the score, I highly recommend you go on YouTube and find it and listen to it. He was incredibly talented. He actually wrote, I mean, all of that's original for that movie. In fact, I mean, all the movies that he wrote, it was original material. I mean, this has main title, Hunt Scene, Love Theme, First Love, Road to Riata, Jet Rink Theme, Romantic Interludes, Jet Rink, Oil Baron, Home in Riata, and End Title. Just a great piece of music. The next up is from 1958, Auntie Mame, by music by Bronislaw Keper. I'm not sure I'm saying that right, but There's a funny story about this. So when I lived in New York, my friends Stephen Mosier and Pat Dwyer would host game nights, and we would play celebrities. And my good friend Vince Gatton would be there, and Paul Williams would be there, and there'd be others. And one of the names that I put in the pot, if you ever played the game, you know you put in names of celebrities. And one of the names that I would put in would be Bronislaw Kaper, because no one knew who the crap he was, but he was incredibly prolific with music and music in movies. He was actually born in Poland in 1902. I gotta tell you, one of the things that I've learned while doing this research is that this land is definitely a land of immigrants, and the people that we think of when we think of the movies that we love and the music that we love, half of them are were born somewhere else, and they came here because this was the place to do it. Bronislaw Kaper was born in Poland in 1902. He moved to Berlin also in his 20s, and then he immigrated to the U.S. after MGM offered him a 7-year standard contract. And he scored over 50 films in his career. We're going to listen to the prelude and theme, which is the very first song on this side. Auntie Mame, 1958, Bronislaw Kaper. I love that movie, and again, if you know the movie, if you've seen it as many times as I have, you know exactly what happens right after that song ends. Patrick's father writes out his will for his son, and it ends up he dies the very next day. And so Patrick winds up with his crazy aunt in Manhattan. I'm glad that the next movie we're going to talk about, the next song we're going to talk about is actually The Music Man. There's actually a connection between Auntie Mame and The Music Man. And the connection is they both have the same director, Morton DaCosta. Morton DaCosta was actually a pretty prominent Broadway producer and director. And if you watch these two movies, you'll notice something similar. They actually close each scene in the exact same way. Morton DaCosta would have a single spotlight on the actor in the scene and black out everything else, which is a very stage thing to do. But the reason that they're similar is because they're both the same director, and he only directed 2 movies, this one and this one. So next up is Meredith Willson's The Music Man. Meredith Willson started off doing stuff in Broadway, and then he also did some movies, but he spent 8 years writing this musical and tweaking it. He and his wife wrote over 40 songs for this musical, and it opened in 1957 on Broadway, and it was a huge hit. He actually wrote 3 other Broadway shows. Only 2 of them are famous, this one and The Unsinkable Molly Brown. And only 2 of them were made into movies, this one and The Unsinkable Molly Brown. And so this is from the movie, although the Broadway recording, there's a couple songs that are different on the Broadway cast recording. I can't remember which one they left out, but Robert Preston played both and sang in both. But Robert Preston really wasn't a singer. He actually talks about in the movie, he tries to convince a kid that he has musical talent, and he tells him that singing is just sustained talking. Well, that's actually the way Robert Preston sang. He couldn't sing, it was just sustained talking. We're going to listen to one of my favorites, The Sadder But Wiser Girl. If you know the movie, you know exactly what's happening here. Basically, Robert Preston's character, Professor Harold Hill, is protesting that he is not interested in the prudish librarian. Sadder But Wiser Girl for me is song 7 on side 1. Let's see if I can catch it. As I've mentioned before, this is really more of an art, less of a science. Trying to find the song on a record. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. We'll see if this works. It may not. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep, it's not going to work. There's something wrong with the mechanism in this stereo. If it gets too close to the center, the arm picks up. So we're going to play something else. We're going to play... Ooh, we're going to play Marion the Librarian. That's on side 2. Can you imagine spending 8 years writing a musical, and then it gets on Broadway, and it's a humongous hit? Here we go.
Marion, Madam Librarian. Oh, what can I do, my dear, to catch your ear? I love you madly, madly, Madam Librarian. Marion, heaven help us if the library caught on fire and the volunteer hose brigade men had to whisper the news to Marion. Madam Librarian. Oh, what can I say, my dear, to make it clear. I need you badly, badly, Madam Librarian. Marion, if I stumbled and I busted my whatchamacallit, I could lie on your floor unnoticed till my body had turned to carrion. Madam Librarian. Now in the moonlight, a man could sing it. In the moonlight, and a fellow would know that his darling had heard every word of his song with the moonlight helping along. But when I try in here to tell you, dear, I love you madly, madly, Madam Librarian. Marion, it's a long lost cause I can never win, for the civilized world accepts as unforgivable sin any talking out loud with any librarian, such as Marion. Madam Librarian.
I was kind of singing along with that. If you're a fan like I am, you know all the words. And that is such a fun musical. The next up is 1968's Chitty Chitty Bang Bang from Walt Disney. Now, I don't know if you guys know this, but Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, the book, was actually written by Ian Fleming, who's the guy who wrote all of the James Bond books. This is the only children's book that he wrote, and they made it into a movie, which you may be familiar with. This album is pretty neat. So you've got the cover, it's in color. There's the car. Here's the list of all the stars, and then you open it up, and it's got more inside. There's a picture of the car flying over the castle, and here is more information about the movie. And on the back, we've got all kinds of scenes from the movie. It's pretty cool. They spent some time and put some money into this. We're going to play Chuchi Face, which is one of the more humorous songs, sung by the king, between the king and the queen, about how much they love each other, and they're actually trying to kill each other during the song. I'm sure you've seen that scene. You'll be able to see it again in your head as you listen. Let's see, Chuchi Bang Bang. What number is it? Chuchi Face. Well, shoot. Let's see. On the album cover, it says that Chuchi Face is number 5 on side 2. Why don't I see it? Oh, now I see it. There it is. Okay. Let's see if I can find it easily. One, two, three, 4, 5. Okay, well that's close enough. Here we go. Chuchi Face from Chuchi Bang Bang.
You're my little Chuchi Face, my coochie woochie little Chuchi Face. Every time I look at you, I sigh.
And you're my little teddy bear, my lovey, lovey, dovey little teddy bear. You're the unfairest to hell over mine eye.
Your Chuchi woochie nose, your Chuchi woochie eyes, they set my heart every lantern.
Your oochie coochie ways, your oochie coochie gaze, whips me down like melting the butter.
You're my Chuchi Face.
And you're my teddy bear. Together we're a Chuchi, Woochie, Woochie, Coochie pair.
Whatever you may ask becomes my heavy task. I only live to serve you.
I never will divine what magic made you mine. I only know I don't deserve you.
You're my little Chuchi Face.
And you're my teddy bear. Together we're a Chuchi, Woochie, Woochie, Coochie.
Chuchi,
Woochie,
Uchi,
Coochie. Chuchi, Woochie, Coochie, Coochie.
David, actually, I misspoke. It's not a Disney movie. It was put up by United Artists. And the reason I had Disney on the brain is because the brothers who wrote that song, Richard and Robert Sherman, wrote a lot for Walt Disney. They wrote the songs for like The Jungle Book and Bedknobs and Broomsticks. A lot of Disney movies, and that's why I said Disney. But actually, it's not a Disney movie. It is United Artists. Next up is The Love Theme from Airport, 1970, Alfred Newman. This is fascinating. Alfred Newman is Randy Newman's uncle. And between the two of them, they have been nominated for more Academy Awards, second only to the Shearer family. Norma Shearer and her brother, who also wrote music, and I think they had a nephew that was a Shearer. They have, as a family, they have been nominated for Oscars or for Academy Awards more than any other family. The Newmans, Alfred Newman and his nephew Randy Newman, are second as a family who's had Academy Award nominations. Airport was his very last score. He actually died a month before the movie was released. But he worked with he worked in Hollywood in the early days, in the golden days. He wrote many scores. We're going to listen to The Love Theme from Airport. Here is the album. Love that. I love that, the tire marks on the runway. In the back is fantastic. I mean, look at this. These are the most glamorous headshots you've ever seen. I mean, look at George Kennedy. I mean, how cute is he there, right? And then Burt Lancaster. Who was that? Yeah, Gene Seberg. I mean, what a cast of characters. And of course, Helen Hayes. So here we go with The Love Theme. It is, I believe, number 2 on side 1. Yep, no, yes. And I'm going to have to find it. I'm going to have to catch it. Let's see how good I am at this. Hey, not bad. beautiful score. I forgot to mention that Alfred Newman was, he actually won 9 Oscars and was nominated 45 times, which is no joke. So that was, we've completed the sequence that I planned, so we're gonna go off script a little bit. I'm gonna go backwards in time, again to the 60s, and play something from Charade by Henry Mancini. I think we're gonna start with the main title, because it's easy to find. Charade is a really amazing movie, beautifully shot. Cary Grant, Audrey Hepburn. It is an Alfred Hitchcock film. It's actually directed by Stanley Donen, which is interesting because he's also the guy that did Singing in the Rain. You know what, Sean? I should have had you come over and be like my co-host because you know this crap way better than I do. Sean is my friend who is a professor at SMU. He teaches film. Well, if there's anything that this is making me want to do, it is to watch all these movies again, because I can picture what's happening when I hear the music. And being shelter in place, I got the time. Next up is going to be, let's see. You know what? I think I am going to play Nancy Sinatra singing "You Only Live Twice," because, why the hell not? This is from You Only Live Twice. I'm not sure of the year. If anybody knows the year for sure, Sean, maybe you do. You can let me know. But here's the title song from a really good James Bond movie. Obviously, Sean Connery plays James Bond in this one too. And so, it's got to be good.
live
I love that song. So 60s, so Nancy Sinatra, so James Bond. Next up is What a Way to Go, which is a movie with, Shirley MacLaine. Yeah, hello. And I love this. So if you've ever seen this movie, it's really fun. So Shirley MacLaine marries in succession, 6 guys. So it says Shirley MacLaine loves Robert Mitchum, Paul Newman, Dean Martin, Gene Kelly, Bob Cummings, Dick Van Dyke, and What a Way to Go. The movie starts off with her in Washington, D.C. at the IRS office. She's trying to write a check to the IRS, to the government, to bring down the national debt. And they don't understand why on earth she'd want to do that. And so she tells a story of how she just wanted a plain, simple life. And every man that she married was either already rich or hit it rich. And how annoying that was for her. I'm going to play the main title, which is the easiest to find. Obviously, it's the first one on the first side. Well, guys, that's it for tonight. Gosh, there's so many other records I could play, but I'm going to keep it short because I think 45 minutes is long enough. I started doing this because of the shelter in place, and it's just kind of something fun to take up some time and to share with you, my friends. I encourage everyone to do something similar, either learn something new or share something new or share something about yourself. I'm pretty sure that I won't do this after the shelter in place is complete, but I'm going to keep doing it until then. Facebook does not like the fact that I've played some copyrighted materials. So if I were just to post this on Facebook right now, they would mute out some music. So what I do is I am going to download this video and to my phone, upload it to YouTube, and then I'll reshare on my page so that it can be seen going forward. Because YouTube actually figures out who owns the copyrights for every song I play, and if anybody watches it, if they have a subscription to YouTube like I do, or they watch the commercials, the money goes to the people who own the songs that I play. So that's it. Thanks, y'all. Bye-bye.